Got it. Here's your request turned into a dramatic, extended wrestling-style speech with over 50 paragraphs, no counts, and no instructions, just pure storytelling. SummerSlam 2025, Night 1, MetLife Stadium. A weekend destined to go down in WWE history, and it all kicked off with a bang. The sky above East Rutherford was electric, the air thick with anticipation. And when the lights dimmed, a roar erupted that shook the very foundations of the tri-state area. The first ever two-night SummerSlam had begun, and it didn't wait to set the tone. Cardi B stepped out, the music icon making her controversial WWE debut, draped in red and gold, standing under the Titantron with the mic in hand and fire in her voice. Not everyone in the arena welcomed her with open arms, but she didn't care. She had attitude, she had presence, and more importantly, she knew the whole damn world was watching. Then the bell rang for the night's opening bout, an explosive collision that pitted Jey Uso and Roman Reigns against Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker. 4 powerhouses, 4 egos, 1 ring. From the jump, Reed and Breakker looked like monsters on a mission. Bron Breakker brought the primal rage, and Bronson Reed backed him up with thunderous slams that rattled the ropes. Reigns, ever the strategist, slowed the pace. He locked eyes with Breakker across the ring and smirked. He's seen challengers before. He's seen them come, and he's seen them go. But Breakker wasn't just any challenger. He was the future, and he made that known by planting Roman with a spinebuster that made the crowd gasp. Jey Uso flew across the ring with superkicks, sacrificing his body, showing loyalty to the tribal chief even when the tide began to shift. The tension between Reigns and Uso was unspoken, but real. The bloodline has fractured before. Would it break again under the bright lights of SummerSlam? As the action spilled to the outside, Reed drove Uso through the barricade with a running body avalanche, exploding the padding like paper. Inside the ring, Breakker hoisted Reigns for a military press, showing off his freakish strength, and then dropped him like a meteor. The crowd stood. Could it be? Could Reigns, the man who dominated WWE for years, finally fall on a SummerSlam stage? But the tribal chief rose. Slow, measured, and angry. He speared Breakker in half, thunderous impact echoing through the stadium, and stood over him with his arms outstretched, proclaiming dominance to the universe. But this wasn't the end. From the crowd, a figure emerged, Paul Heyman. But not with Reigns. Heyman approached Breakker's corner and offered a handshake. Was this a betrayal in the making? Jey Uso, ever watchful, saw the tension boil and leapt in with a diving splash from the top rope to break it up. The match teetered on chaos. Cardi B watched from ringside. Her eyes wide, her face unreadable. And then, from the ramp, LA Knight appeared. The crowd erupted. Knight wasn't scheduled. But Knight doesn't follow schedules. He follows moments. He marched to the ring, took a mic, and declared, SummerSlam needs more star power, yeah. Knight slid into the ring and stared down Breakker and Reigns alike. The referee had no choice. This match was no longer a tag match. It was a war zone. Triple threat tag match, spontaneously created. And the crowd couldn't believe their eyes. LA Knight hit blunt force trauma on Breakker. Jey Uso dove off the top with a double splash on both Knight and Reed. Reigns crawled, slowly, crawled over and pinned Breakker. 1, 2. Breakker kicked out. Reigns was stunned, for the first time in years, shocked. And then Breakker rose, face bloody, chest heaving, and screamed in Reigns' face. The battle raged on. Reigns and Breakker exchanged fists like titans of old. Reed smashed Knight through the announce desk with a death from above splash. Jey Uso climbed the Titantron and launched himself like a missile onto everyone below. Carnage, destruction, mayhem. The crowd chanted, "This is awesome." And it wasn't just hype. It was truth. Finally, after 30 minutes of chaos, Reigns hit a Superman punch. Then another. Then a spear. And then, he didn't pin. He stood. He walked over to Breakker and whispered something into his ear. Then he walked away. Reigns left the ring. Left the victory on the table. Left the message, I don't need to win tonight. I need to remind you, I'm still the one. Jey Uso, confused but loyal, pinned the broken Breakker. 1, 2, 3. The bell rang. The Usos, music hit. The first chapter of SummerSlam was closed. But it was only the beginning. Backstage, Seth Rollins and Gunther stared at monitors. Rollins laughed. The bloodline imploding again. Typical. Gunther, expressionless, simply replied, irrelevant. My concern is legacy. Elsewhere, Becky Lynch warmed up, focused. Tonight, she had a date with history. Io Sky walked the halls, women's championship slung over her shoulder, flanked by Bayley and Dakota Kai. Naomi danced into frame, glowing, confident. Her eyes locked with Io's. No words. Just fire. The women of WWE knew, tonight wasn't just another match. It was about etching names in stone. The energy backstage was nuclear. SummerSlam 2025 Night 1 delivered shocks, returns, betrayals, and promises. But Night 2. Night 2 was waiting like a lion in the tall grass. Waiting to pounce. And with Cena vs. Rhodes, Naomi vs. Io vs. Rhea, and 6 matches that could headline any PPV in the world. Night 2 wasn't just a continuation. It was a reckoning. Because in WWE, legends rise, heroes fall, and moments last